There is this really specific, almost physical feeling you get when you're just doing something completely mundane.
Oh, absolutely. Like cleaning out a hall closet or something.
Yeah, right. Or, maybe lying in bed at like 2 a.m. just scrolling way, way back in your phone's camera roll.
Oh, boy, yeah.
We all do that.
And suddenly, there it is, a photograph of yourself from, I don't know, 5, maybe 10 years ago.
Right.
You look at your face, you look at your posture, the clothes you were wearing, the background, and instead of just smiling and moving on, you're suddenly hit with this strange, heavy ache right in the middle of your chest.
It is such a profound and confusing moment. Because logically, you expect to feel happy looking at an old memory.
Exactly. But there's this real friction there.
Yeah, your chest tightens. It's a deeply bittersweet experience, and for a lot of people, that sudden wave of sadness can be quite jarring.
Jarring is the perfect word for it. And, well, welcome to today's Deep Dive. We're so thrilled you've joined us.
Yes, really glad to have you here. Today, we have a really unique mission. We're taking a fascinating stack of notes and exploring the psychological journey of personal growth. Specifically, we're diving into a concept that is both challenging and just incredibly liberating.
Which is this idea of grieving your past self.
Right.
It's a phenomenal topic because it touches literally everyone. Like, no matter your age, your profession, where you live, if you are moving forward in life, you are going to encounter this feeling.
You absolutely will. And I want to set the stage right up front, especially for you listening. Our sources today are actually beautifully tailored for people who are on the journey of learning the English language.
That's right.
Because of that, we're keeping the pace of our conversation today very comfortable, very deliberate. Whether you're actively studying English or you just want a relaxed space to absorb some deep psychology without feeling rushed, this is for you.
Yeah, we're going to naturally weave in some language insights right alongside the mental health breakthroughs.
Yeah, it's a great approach. Learning a language or going through any major life transition, it requires a lot of cognitive energy. Slowing down to really understand the mechanics of how our minds process these changes is just crucial.
Definitely.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because the sources point out that when we look at that old photo, we feel that ache, right? That mix of fondness and heartache.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to be honest here. Sometimes when I look at a picture of myself from 10 years ago, my first thought isn't fondness.
Oh, what is it then?
It's usually, wow, what was I thinking of that haircut? Or, I was so awkward back then.
Right.
So why do the notes suggest we are actually aching for that person?
Well, what's fascinating here is how psychology redefines what we're actually experiencing.
Mm.
We naturally label this feeling as nostalgia.
Nostalgia, yeah. That's a good vocab word to highlight right away. Nostalgia. Nostalgia.
Exactly. It's that warm, slightly sad feeling about the past. But normally, when we hear the word nostalgia, we think it simply means missing a specific era.
Like missing the music of the 1990s or missing your college dorm.
Right. But the research in our notes highlights a much deeper, more internal layer. We aren't necessarily missing the time period.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, we are mourning a version of ourselves, our past self, use another key phrase, and we miss that past self because they felt, in some fundamental way, more possible.
More possible? Wait, I want to make sure I'm fully grasping that. Do you mean that back then, because we hadn't made as many choices yet, our future was just this big blank canvas?
Precisely.
Yeah.
That past self might have been awkward. They might have been terrified of speaking up in a meeting, or maybe they couldn't speak a single word of English.
Right.
But their world was conceptually simpler. They hadn't yet taken on the heavy, exhausting work of true transformation.
Okay. Is it sort of like looking at the very early chapters of a fantasy novel?
Ooh, how so?
Like the part of the story where the hero is just living in their quiet little farming village. They haven't faced any dragons yet. They haven't had their heart broken. They haven't had to march through a blizzard. Yes.
Their life is small, but it's incredibly uncomplicated.
That is a brilliant analogy, yes. In those early chapters, the hero's potential is entirely untested. Everything is still ahead of them.
Right.
So when you look at that old photo, you are looking at the village version of yourself. And when we talk about those memories, which is just the mental records of who we were, we often naturally use specific language to create distance.
Distance between who we were and who we are now.
Exactly.
Right. And our sources give us some great practical tools for this. When we're describing that village version of ourselves, we generally rely on the phrase used to.
Yes, used to.
Like saying, I used to be shy, or I used to live in a small town.
Exactly. And the mechanics of that phrase are really revealing for an English learner. When you say used to, you aren't just saying something happened in the past.
Right. It's not just regular past tense.
No, you are explicitly stating that it is a past reality that is completely finished. It is no longer true today. It creates a very clear boundary. So if you're looking at that photo and thinking about your language journey, you might say, I used to be afraid to speak English.
Perfect example.
You're acknowledging that fear was very real for your past self, but you're also confirming that the fear doesn't own you anymore.
Yes, it highlights the gap. It's a linguistic bridge between the village and where the hero is standing today.
But this brings up a really massive question for me. Let's say that past self, the one who used to be shy, the one who couldn't communicate well, was genuinely struggling.
Okay, yeah.
If they were limited, and I have done all this hard work to escape that limitation, why does it hurt to leave them behind?
It's a great point.
Like, why is letting go of a less capable version of myself so incredibly difficult? Logically, shouldn't I just be throwing a party to be rid of them?
Right, that is the core paradox of human growth right there.
Yeah.
Why does success sometimes feel like a loss?
Exactly.
The answer lies in a biological and psychological concept known as the comfort zone.
The comfort zone. That's another great vocab phrase. COMFORT zone. We hear that term thrown around a lot in self-help seminars, usually as something we need to, crush or destroy. Right. Break out of your comfort zone. But we rarely talk about what it actually is from a neurological perspective.
What do you mean?
You see, that past self in the photo might not have been happy. They might have been deeply frustrated. But they were safe. The brain loves predictability.
Oh, I see.
In your comfort zone, you know exactly what the rules are, you know exactly how people will react to you, and you know how to survive. It takes very little mental energy to just exist in a familiar space.
So it isn't necessarily about being comfortable in a cozy way. It's just about being familiar.
Exactly.
It's like wearing a really ugly, worn-out sweater. It might not look good. It might not even keep you that warm, but you know exactly how it feels against your skin. You don't have to think about it.
That is exactly it. Now contrast that with the new you.
The version of you who is actively trying to learn complex English grammar, or the version of you who is stepping up to lead a team at work. That new environment is entirely unpredictable.
And our brains don't like unpredictable.
Not at all. Human beings are biologically wired to process the unfamiliar as a literal threat. Your brain doesn't know the difference between a scary new job and a predator in the bushes. Both trigger alarm bells.
Well, here's where it gets really interesting for me. Because our sources describe a very specific frustration that happens when we are in the middle of this growth.
Oh, the rubber band effect.
Yes, and I know everyone listening can relate to this. You are putting in the hours, you're studying, you're practicing, you're actively trying to be this better self, but it constantly feels like your old habits are actively fighting you. It feels like there is a heavy rubber band attached to your waist, violently pulling you backward. Why does that happen?
It feels like self-sabotage, doesn't it? Like just lazy or lacking willpower. But the sources identify this pulling sensation as something completely different. It's grief.
Grief. Another crucial vocab word, Grief. Wait, like the deep sadness and mourning you experience when you lose a loved one?
The very same psychological mechanism. To grieve is to process a profound loss. And the notes explain a hard truth here.
Which is?
Every single gain or improvement in your life ultimately requires some kind of loss. You cannot add a new reality without subtracting an old one.
Wow. Every gain means a loss. That completely flips how I think about self-improvement.
If you think about it practically, it makes perfect sense. If you become a fluent, confident English speaker, you lose the safety of hiding quietly in the background during conversations.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
You're suddenly visible, and people expect things from you. Or if you take a demanding, exciting new job, you lose the easy, thoughtless routine of your old position.
So by growth pains, which is our next vocab phrase, meaning the discomfort of growing, you literally mean that emotional friction.
Yes.
That fear, that exhaustion, and that deep sadness we get when we push our boundaries. We aren't just fighting laziness. We're actively mourning the death of our comfort zone.
Precisely. Those growth pains are the psychological equivalent of withdrawal symptoms. Your brain is desperately trying to pull you back to the ugly old sweater because it knows you can survive there.
Wow.
It doesn't know if you can survive out in the new world. So you have to grieve the old you. You have to process the fact that they're gone.
That reframing is incredibly compassionate, It means that when I'm sitting at my desk feeling overwhelmed and wanting to quit whatever new thing I'm trying to learn, I'm not failing.
No, not at all.
I am just grieving.
But that leads us to the practical side of the sources. We know why we feel this friction. We know why looking at the old photo brings up an ache.
Right.
How do we stop that rubber band from pulling us backward? How do we gracefully and intentionally step into the new version of ourselves?
The sources offer a wonderful, highly practical exercise to break that tension. It's essentially a psychological ritual to finalize the separation, and it's incredibly simple.
Okay, what is it?
You write a letter to your past self.
You actually write a letter to the person in the photograph. Yes, and for our listeners, the notes emphasize that this does not need to be a long, complicated essay. You don't need to worry about perfect grammar or advanced vocabulary.
That's a relief.
Right. The act of externalizing your thoughts is what matters. The goal of this letter is to accomplish two specific things: to say thank you and to officially say goodbye.
Just acknowledging their existence and their effort. I love that. And the sources actually provide some very simple, beautiful English phrases that you, the listener, can borrow right now to mentally draft this letter.
Yes, these are great.
The first phrase focuses on acknowledging what they went through. You can write, "Thank you for being brave."
Thank you for being brave.
Yeah.
It is such a powerful statement. Because even if that past self was terrified, even if they made 1,000 mistakes, they survived.
Yeah.
They endured the awkwardness and the fear to get you to the exact spot you are standing in today.
They laid the bricks for the house you're living in. The second phrase the notes suggest is, "You did your best."
That sentence is pure compassion. Often we look back and feel angry at our past selves for not knowing better.
Oh, absolutely. Like, why didn't I start studying earlier?
Exactly. But you did your best reminds us that the past version of you was operating with very limited tools. They didn't have the vocabulary, the experience, or the emotional maturity that you have now.
And then we reach the final, most crucial phrase to complete the process. The phrase that actually cuts that rubber band. You write, "It is time to move on."
It is time to move on. Let's highlight move on as a vocab phrase. M-O-V-E on.
Great phrase.
In English, moving on doesn't just mean walking away. It implies an evolution. It means leaving the past behind so you can focus entirely on the horizon.
Thinking about this process of evolution and moving on, it really makes me think of how we handle technology, specifically a major software update on a computer or a smartphone.
Well, that's an interesting angle. How does that connect?
Well, think about what happens when your phone alerts you that a new operating system is ready to install. You don't get angry at version 1.0 of the software. You don't hate it.
Right.
Version 1.0 is what built the foundation. It ran the basic apps. It got you connected to the internet. It did exactly what it was programmed to do at the time.
But eventually, the environment changes.
Exactly. Eventually, version 1.0 starts to get buggy. It crashes when you try to open a new demanding program. It takes up way too much processing power just to do simple tasks. So you have to let version 1.0 go. You have to forgive its limitations. That's another vocab word. Forgive, and uninstall it so you can make room to download version 2.0. You need that new version so you can run all the complex, exciting new features of your life.
That analogy works perfectly because it removes the guilt. You don't delete version 1.0 because it was evil or worthless. You replace it out of absolute necessity for your own evolution.
Right.
If you refuse to update, your system simply stops working. To step into version 2.0 of yourself, you have to forgive the glitches of version 1.0.
And forgiving your past self is usually the hardest part of the entire journey. We hold on to so much resentment for the things we couldn't do.
It is the hardest part, but it's also the key to unlocking all that trapped energy. Which brings us to the final tool our sources offer to help lock in this new mindset.
Right, because writing the letter is a great one-time ritual, but how do we maintain this daily?
If we connect this to the bigger picture,
Yeah.
the goal isn't just to write a letter, cry over an old photo, and then forget about it. The goal is to rewire how you react when those growth pains inevitably flare up again.
Because they will flare up.
Oh, they definitely will.
Yeah.
To handle that, the sources provide a daily affirmation, a grounding sentence to repeat to yourself when you feel the urge to run back to your comfort zone.
Let's hear it.
I invite everyone listening to just take a breath and mentally repeat this concept with us. The affirmation is, I honor my past, but I live in my present.
I honor my past, but I live in my present. That really strikes the perfect balance.
It really does.
It isn't toxic positivity where you pretend the past didn't happen and you aren't aggressively trying to erase where you came from.
Yeah.
You're giving the past its respect, but you are firmly refusing to be trapped by it.
You're honoring the foundation, but you are choosing to live in the beautiful new structure you're actively building. It centers you in the work you are doing today.
So, what does this all mean for us today? Let's take a moment to recap the deep dive we have just been on.
Sounds good.
We started by looking closely at the feeling of nostalgia. We learned that the ache we feel when looking backward isn't just a longing for a specific year. It's a longing for a simpler, untested version of ourselves.
Right.
A version we can respectfully distance ourselves from by acknowledging who we used to be.
Then we examined the hidden biology of the comfort zone. We discovered that stepping out of the familiar triggers a very real, very physical sense of grief.
Yeah.
Because every time you grow, you lose a piece of your old identity. Those growth pains, the fear and the friction, are not signs of failure. They are the natural symptoms of an evolution in progress.
And finally, we explored how to process that grief. By performing the simple ritual of writing a letter, we can say thank you, offer forgiveness for our past limitations, and officially update our internal software to version 2.0.
It provides a gentle, highly practical roadmap for anyone navigating a transition.
I really want to speak directly to you listening right now. Whether you're in the thick of your English learning journey, feeling frustrated that the vocabulary isn't sticking as fast as you want, or whether you're navigating a massive, scary life change like moving to a new city, starting a new relationship, or completely shifting your career, please remember that the friction you are feeling in your chest is normal. When you want to quit and put the old sweater back on, it doesn't mean you aren't capable. It means you are grieving the old you. And that means you are successfully growing.
This raises an important question, though, a thought experiment to take with you. We've spent our entire time today talking about grieving the person you were 5 years ago so you can make room for the person you are right now. But if we follow the logic of personal evolution, this software update process doesn't just stop.
Oh, right. We don't just stay version 2.0 forever. The updates keep coming.
They have to, or we stagnate. So I want to leave you with a thought to ponder that builds on everything we have discussed today. If every new upgraded version of you requires bravely grieving the old one,
who is the incredible version 3.0 of you waiting to be born 5 years from now?
Exactly.
Wow, I love that.
And perhaps more importantly, what cozy, familiar comfort zone, the very one you are sitting in right now feeling so safe and secure, will you eventually have to summon the courage to say goodbye to so you can finally meet them?
That is a brilliant and slightly intimidating thought to sit with. Version 3.0 is out there, but they are waiting for you to do the hard work of letting go of today.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We hope it gave you some clarity and some great new tools for your journey.
It's been a pleasure.
The next time you are scrolling through your phone and you find that dusty old photograph, don't quickly swipe past it. Stop. Look at it fondly. Acknowledge the village hero. Whisper a little thank you to the person looking back at you. But then, gently, turn off the screen, look up, and keep moving forward. We'll see you next time.